And lychee jelly is something that I grew up having as a child, and I thought that it would be really nostalgic to include it in a recipe.
The first thing that we're gonna do is melt down the lychee jelly. You can usually find this at an Asian supermarket. Now that the lychee jelly is melted, I added a little bit of pink food coloring and also some silver pigment just to make it a little prettier. We're then gonna pour it into a lightly oiled muffin pan. Then optionally, I also have this heart-shaped silicone mold that I used for the topper. But if you don't have this, it's totally fine. I popped the lychee jelly out of the molds, but actually the discs are a little too big for the cream puffs, so I ended up using a circle cutter to cut them down to size. Okay, sometimes it's kind of hard to find fresh lychee, so canned is totally fine. I used about half a can. Blend the lychee until it's really smooth. If you don't have a high-powered blender, then you can just strain it afterwards. Combine the blended lychee juice with around 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and also 2 tablespoons of sugar. Then we're gonna simmer it over medium heat until it thickens. Once it's thickened, we're gonna pour it into a heat-safe mug and then let it hang out in the fridge. We're gonna make the cookie topping part of it called the craquelin. It's 50 grams each of sugar, butter, flour. Special points to you if you got that reference. Also a few drops of pink food coloring. And then we're just gonna mix it up until it becomes a smooth dough. Also, the cream puff portion of this recipe is adapted from Emma's Goodies, so shout out to her. Plop the dough onto a piece of parchment, and then we're gonna roll it in between another piece of parchment paper. When it's uniformly rolled out, we're just gonna let it firm up in the fridge. Add 50 grams of butter and 70 grams of water to a saucepan. Wait till it comes to a gentle boil. Then turn off the heat and add 60 grams of flour all at once. Stir vigorously to incorporate the flour, and the dough should eventually come pretty cleanly away from the saucepan. Allow the dough to cool significantly before moving on to the next step. Add around 80% of the 2 beaten eggs, then really go to town on the batter. You can even use an electric mixer if you have it, but I just like doing it by hand. And honestly, the batter will look like it's not coming together, but trust me, just keep mixing and it'll eventually become nice and smooth. It's still a little bit too stiff, so I added the remaining egg. I mixed it through, and what we're looking for is for the batter to be able to form a V and then break off. That's when you know you have the right consistency. Transfer the batter to a piping bag, and you can either use a nozzle or you can just snip the tip. We're going to pipe some pretty tall mounds, making sure to leave space in between. Keep in mind they do puff up quite a lot. Remember that cookie topping that we made earlier? Now that it's firm, we're going to cut out circles slightly bigger than the mounds of batter that we just piped. Place the cookie discs on top of each mound of batter, and then we're going to bake it for 20 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. They puffed up perfectly. This is what they look like right out of the oven. We're going to let them cool completely before we fill them. Add 400 grams of cold whipping cream to a bowl, then powdered sugar to your taste. I don't like mine too sweet, so I only used around half a cup. We're gonna mix it on medium speed until it thickens. Now that the mixture is thickened, we're gonna add around 3 tablespoons of the chilled lychee puree. Then we're gonna whip until we get a pipeable consistency. We're gonna chop off the top of our cream puffs, then we're gonna pipe in a layer of our lychee whipped cream. Top it with our disc of lychee jelly, then we're gonna pipe some more lychee cream on top. Yeah, and to be honest, I think we're pretty much finished already. You can stop right here and enjoy your cream puffs, or you can be extra like me and decorate it. We are finally finished. Okay, I can admit that this was such a long process, but seriously, totally worth it. Like, come on, just look at that cross section. So fruity, so packed with lychee flavor, and they really remind me of my childhood.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.